We're going to use that. We're going to come after her on that. Anything like that?
I think there is, and I'll tell you what really happened during the debate that was very interesting to me. I saw when she's talking about what she's going to do and how she's going to do it and all of this, I realized she's been doing this for 26 to 30 years, and nothing ever gets done. Even when she went to the United States Senate representing New York, she said she was going to bring jobs back to New York, and it was a disaster. Upstate New York is a total disaster. But as she was talking about the various things, and I started to say, wait a minute, Hillary, you've been there for 26 years and you haven't done it. Why all of a sudden are you going to do it? You're not going to do it. It's just you're going to get votes, and then after the votes, it's going to be see you later. I'll see you in 4 years or whatever. But that hit me during the debate, I think, more than any other time.
Okay.
Whether it's health care or child care or any of the things that she talks about, Bill, it's not going to happen, okay? It's just not going to happen.
Now,
these people talk. I mean, her in particular, she talks and nothing gets done unless it's for her or her donors.
When she was senator of New York, you were friendly with her, though. She and her husband went to your wedding. We look back, you weren't real critical of Hillary Clinton at the time. Did you think she was doing a good job back then?
Bill, I was a businessman. I was all over the world. I was doing great. And frankly, I got along with all politicians. It was my job to get along with politicians. I didn't go around criticizing very many of them, almost none of them. Because when you're a businessman, you have to get along with the politicians, both Democrats and I get along with everybody.
But in your secret mind,
I get along with the Republicans.
In your secret mind, did you go, she's screwing up, she's not doing anything back then when she was senator?
Well, I didn't focus on it. Like, you know, today I focus on this. I don't even think about my business. I built a great company, a phenomenal company. I don't even think about it. The kids are running it with executives. And, you know, I don't think about it. Now I think about it. But I always got along with politicians. It was a very important aspect of my business.
And those of us who know Manhattan know that's true. Now, they're going to come after you, they being the Clinton campaign, on the statement that you made that you were smart for paying as few taxes as you could possibly pay. You know that's going to be in the next debate. It's going to be on campaign ads. Do you have any defense for that right now?
No, I didn't say that. What she said is maybe you paid no taxes. I said, well, that would make me very smart.
Right.
And I have to tell you something. Tax is a big expense. And I would mind paying taxes a lot less if our politicians knew how to spend the money. But they don't. They waste the money. I mean, they don't know what they're doing with the money. You know, in some cases they do, and they have bad motives. But they basically don't know what they're doing, Bill, with the money. And whether it goes into the Middle East, I see the other day a report come out, $6 trillion. $6 trillion spent on the Middle East. We could have rebuilt our country twice. And $6 trillion was spent on the Middle East. And where are we? Go back 15 years. If we did nothing, we'd be in much better shape.
I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm Hillary Clinton in the next debate. And I say to you what she said yesterday in North Carolina. Hey, if he's not going to pay any taxes and he thinks that's smart, what does that make us? We pay taxes. Are we stupid? How are you going to answer that?
Well, first of all, I never said I didn't pay taxes. She said, maybe you didn't pay taxes.
Right.
And I said, well, that would make me smart because tax is a big payment. But I think a lot of people say that's the kind of thinking that I want running this nation.
Okay.
Because you look at the way our country is running we lose $800 billion a year on trade deals with the world. $800 billion a year, Bill. Who makes these deals? So I think a lot of people, actually, you know, I had two groups. Some people loved that statement and other people didn't. But the fact is that I think people are looking at it like maybe that's the kind of person we need. Hey, look, I built a great company.
A shrewd businessman.
I have a tremendous, you know, I have a tremendous record in business. And to be honest with you, but I think that's the kind of thinking we need in our country.
Okay. Now, the other avenue they're going to come after you is the women card, all right? And they're going to say that you're a mean guy and you don't respect women. Do you have anything further to say on this Miss Universe thing?
No, not much. I mean, look, I hardly know this person. This is a person 20 years ago. She wasn't a successful, you know, I sold the Miss Universe contest at a, you know, for a tremendous price about, you know, 6 months ago. Worked out great. so I don't have anything to do with it anymore, but I really enjoyed it when I had it. But this is a person, Bill, that was the first one under my ownership. She did not do well. She had a lot of difficulties, and, you know, they wanted to fire her. The company itself wanted to fire her. I saved her job. I'll bet you if you put up and added up all the time I spoke to her, it was probably less than 5 minutes. I mean, I had nothing to do with this person, but they wanted to fire her. I saved her job because I said that's going to be ruinous. And I've done that with a number of the young ladies where I saved their job, but the staff itself. And you know what happened? Look what I get out of it. I get nothing. So a lot of things are coming out about her. I'm not going to say anything. I couldn't care less. But it's somebody I don't know certainly very well. I saved her job because they wanted to fire her for putting on so much weight. And it is a beauty contest. You know, I mean, say what you want, Bill. I mean, they know what they're getting into. It's a beauty contest. And I said, don't do that. Let her try and lose the weight. Can you imagine I end up in a position like this? So that's the way it is. I really just don't know her.
Do you think that was a cheap shot by Secretary Clinton to bring that up?
Well, I think it was, and now a lot of things are coming out that I wasn't aware of, like they say that she threatened the life of a judge, and they got involved in all sorts of problems, and some reports just came out 20 minutes ago about her. And, you know, I mean, if that turns out to be true, a lot of the things that are turning out to be perhaps true, I think it's going to make Hillary look extremely bad. But again, I helped somebody, and this is what you get for helping somebody, but I just don't know her.
Okay. Do you believe that you have to do better among women, American women, to win the election, or do you believe you have enough support now?
Well, I think I'm doing well, and I have been doing well with, especially with married women. You saw the numbers. I mean, they went way up. The Google just came out, and it has me. It was the first big post-debate poll, and we're doing very well. And I think we're doing very well with married women. Now, don't forget, Hillary has spent over $200 million on ads against me. Many of those ads are false. They're vicious and they're false, and they are vicious, believe me. And with all of that, I guess I'm leading. Would you say I'm leading, or at
I don't know.
Worst,
I'll know better on Friday if you're ahead or not. So I mean, we're just we're data people here. Now I'm going to hold you over.
Bill,
this is
you
a
have
lot.
To understand. Hey, Bill,
yeah.
$200 million and more has been spent on me.
I understand.
And I'm spending very little.
You.
We're going to spend some good money, but I mean, and by the way, those ads are largely false. There's so many inaccuracies in those ads. It's really
now, sit tight.
A terrible thing.
Sit tight in Wisconsin. This is a live situation. We're going to have more with Mr. Trump in a moment, and we're going to ask him about Lester Holt. Hey, how can you not watch that? Then later, the man shot dead by police in Charlotte served 6 years for shooting a man in Texas. Did you know that? Why wasn't it immediately reported? Also looks bad for the FBI and the Hillary email front. Factors coming right back. Continuing now, Donald Trump, who joins us from Wisconsin, where he's about to go on stage for a big rally. Now, I'm asking you to grade Lester Holt, the debate moderator. A is best, F is worst. You say?
Well, when I first did it, I thought he was fine. I wasn't thinking about it. But when I reviewed it and when I saw all the commentary, because a lot of people thought he was terrible, and I looked at all of the commentary, I realized he was much, much tougher on me than he was on Hillary. It was like a day and night. I thought he was okay. I mean, look, I said good things right after the show. But after reviewing it and after seeing the way he badgered, and even the questions I got. The first half of the show was great. And then he started, he hits me with the birther question, of course. And he likes to correct things where I happen to be right. Like we talked about stop and frisk, and he was 100% wrong. But in the meantime, I had to go and prove the point. And it turned out that I was right. I think that, to be honest with you, I think that he was fine. But I would also say, in reviewing it, I was disappointed in him. Hillary Clinton with the gold standard.
Yeah,
Hillary Clinton on the gold standard. He didn't go after her, even though she was wrong. A C.
Okay. He interrupted you 41 times and interrupted Hillary Clinton 7 times.
I think he did.
That's more than I interrupt you, by the way. That's more than I do.
He was worse than you.
Yeah,
I agree.
and then really that's bad. All right, now I'm going to flip around. If you get elected, one of the things that you're going to have to do to make America great again is restore respect for the country, both overseas and here in America. You would agree with that, correct?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 100%.
Last night, Colin Kaepernick said another bad thing about his country. You're going to play it later on. He said bad stuff about you. You did own a professional football team. What would you do with Colin Kaepernick?
Well, I don't know what he said about me, but I think what he's doing is disgraceful. Is he starting yet, or is he still a second string?
Yeah, he's a second string guy. But what would you do to him if you were the owner?
He's
What would
making
you
a
do?
tremendous amount of money. He's making a tremendous amount of money. He's leading the American dream. He's trying to make a point, but I don't think he's making it the correct way. Personally, if it was me, I would not be happy if I were the team owner. And I don't think I'm going to tell you what I do,
Would
but
you
I'll tell
fire
you I
him,
would
or
take a different position.
Would you fire him? Would you
I wouldn't be happy. They're paying him all of this money. And I think what he's doing is very bad for the spirit of the country. At the same time, he has the right to protest, and that's one of the beautiful things about the country.
But does he have the right to protest on your
I would not
dime?
be happy.
See, you're the owner. It's your stadium. All right, it's paying customers. It's your dime. This is right in your ballywick, okay? So he's protesting on your dime, doing something that offends you. Would you take action against him?
I tell you, it offends me, it does, especially since he's doing so well in terms of economically and so many other ways. I guess he probably lost his starting position because something happened to him. He went downhill fast. And frankly, that's okay. But I would not be a happy camper. I'm not going to tell you what I do. But
You're
if
not
I was
gonna
in
tell
that
me.
position, I'd do a lot
That's
different.
unlike you,
no,
though.
I'm not. And you know what, Bill? If I'm in that position, I'd be a lot different than the way they're treating him right now. That I can tell
But
you.
it's not like you to not tell me what you would do. You usually look.
Well, you know, let's keep the headlines down to a minimum.
All right. Charlotte, North Carolina, we're going to report right after you leave that the guy who was shot dead served 6 years in a Texas penitentiary for shooting another guy. That was not reported. I have said that the protests are fine. If you believe that the police are not fair to African Americans, you should protest. However, in individual cases, we should all wait until all the data comes in, all the facts are in. You agree with that, correct?
Yeah, I do. I always agree on waiting and trying to get the information before you make a
Then
judgment.
why did you
it's a
not? Then why did you not say to Hillary Clinton, "Hey, you jumped the gun by saying that this is deplorable, it's terrible, we have to solve this police problem"? Why didn't you go after her on that?
I think when she said deplorable about a tremendous portion of our country, I think, and she said irredeemable also.
But
not
stay
only
on the
deplorable,
cops, stay on
irredeemable.
Charlotte.
I
Why
thought
didn't
it
you
was
go after her
disgraceful.
about Charlotte? Why not?
Well, because I had many other things that I did go after. And a lot of people, you know, the whole evening was an interesting evening. A lot of people liked what I said about her. And frankly, it was pretty tough what I said about her. You can't hit every single point.
No, but you're
You
the
have a
law and
limited
order
period of time.
candidate.
You know, answer.
Right.
It's called answer in 30 seconds, but I thought her answer having to do with the police was very, very disrespectful to the police. She was petrified to talk about them in a positive way, and I thought, frankly, that was a disgrace.
I thought you were going to bring that out.
I think it was a very disrespectful, well, I thought it was a very disrespectful answer to the police. There's no question about it. But you know, you can only say so much in 22 seconds.
I got it. But I was surprised because the law and order thing got into the stop and frisk, and I thought the cops are going to come up. The other thing I thought you were going to bring up with the law and order deal was the sanctuary cities. You could have put it right on the spot and said, "Hey, are you for sanctuary cities? What are you going to do?"
Sure, we have to get rid of sanctuary cities. The sanctuary is for the criminals, and it's horrible what's going on with sanctuary cities. And if I'm elected, we will not be funding sanctuary cities. That I can tell you right now. But you're right. She's totally in favor of sanctuary cities. She's in favor of having thousands and thousands of people come in from the Middle East that we have no idea for the most part who they are. And you know you can't really vet them properly. What she's doing is, and what she's saying, 550% more
Yeah, I know.
than Obama.
We got that stat. But
And
anyway, you got
that's
two
not
more
acceptable.
shots, and she's got two more shots at you. And we always appreciate you coming on. We know you're busy going out to your rally right now, and to make time for us is very nice of you to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
FBI Director Comey again grilled by a congressional committee. His investigation into Hillary Clinton's email is getting darker by the moment. The man shot dead, as I just mentioned, by Charlotte police, was himself convicted of shooting a man in Texas. That was not reported even as riots broke out. Two compelling updates for you up ahead. Back to follow-up segment tonight. More heat on the FBI over the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Today, Director James Comey again grilled by the House Judiciary Committee.
When you have 5 immunity agreements and no prosecution, when you are allowing witnesses who happen to be lawyers, who happen to be targets, to sit in on an interview, that is not the FBI that I used to work with.
I hope someday when the political craziness is over, you will look back again on this, because this is the FBI you know and love.
And joining us now from Washington, Jonathan Turley, who teaches law at George Washington Law School. So to me, and I'm looking at this from a very ill-informed viewpoint, I have to admit to the audience that I am not an expert on anything like immunity and all of that. But to me, it's looking more and more like the FBI booted this email investigation. Do you agree with that general statement?
Well, none of this makes sense to me. Not long ago, I said that Comey was within what we would consider prosecutorial discretion in not proceeding towards criminal indictments or charges. But these 5 immunity deals are very baffling. I mean, it's like playing a game of tag and nobody's it. It makes for a rather boring game when you give out immunity to people like Cheryl Mills. And her immunity deal I find it perplexing. I have no idea.
Ms. Mills, to tell everybody, is one of Hillary Clinton's top advisors, her attorney. A lot of the private emails went through her. She certainly knew that there was a controversy, and yet she gets immunity. So next to Hillary Clinton, Cheryl Mills would be the number 2 target. So unless she's going to turn on Hillary Clinton, which she absolutely isn't because she's Hillary Clinton's attorney-client privilege, all right? Why would you give somebody like Mills immunity? For what reason? She's not going to give you anything. So why immunitize her? Why do that?
Well, frankly, I was floored when I found out they'd given immunity to Mills, because she is, in fact, the most obvious target short of Clinton. She appears in all of these critical decisions at critical moments.
So you don't know, as an esteemed professor, you don't know why the FBI would give her immunity, and certainly Comey didn't explain it today, correct?
Well, Comey said that she said she would need immunity to turn over her laptop, which is particularly baffling. I mean, that laptop included what we now know.
Just subpoena the laptop, right?
Right, and he said it would take too long, and that's odd. You know, Hillary Clinton was saying that her people were cooperating fully. The FBI was asking for a laptop that contained public information, and it turns out classified information.
All right, let's roll that Hillary Clinton soundbite right now.
I'm delighted that he has agreed to cooperate, as everyone else has, and I think that we'll be moving toward a resolution.
But not only did Ms. Mills, I guess she has cooperated. She did turn over the laptop after the immunity. But Brian Pagliano, who set up the server in the Chappaqua home, the private server, he got immunity too. And then he went to Congress. Congress subpoenaed him and wouldn't show up. This guy is going to be in contempt of Congress. I mean, is that cooperating?
It's not. And most of these agreements have an obligation to work with all branches of the government. And last time I checked, the United States Congress was part of the government.
Mrs. Clinton in March said that all of her people were cooperating. That's not true. It's flat out false, and we just proved it tonight. What about this guy, Paul Gambetta? He's the guy that erased a lot of the emails even after he was told that the Benghazi Committee in Congress wanted to see them. He deleted them anyway, and he still gets immunity.
Right. Gambetta is particularly curious because you had a guy who reportedly admitted he knew Congress had issued a subpoena for this information. He said that he had a conversation with Clinton attorneys, and after that conversation, he destroyed the evidence Congress was looking for.
But wait, he destroys it. Everybody knows he did it. He knew that they were looking for it, and they give him immunity.
I think that's what's so curious about all this.
Curious?
Director Comey said, look, we were just giving out immunity to essentially low-lying fruit. Cheryl Mills is not low-lying fruit.
And neither is Gambetta. If he destroyed evidence that Congress asked for, that's not a minor thing.
Well, I think that the real problem with all of this is that it shakes credibility of the FBI. They said they wanted to build a criminal case. You don't build a criminal case by not only handing out the guy who was on the phone call with Clinton attorneys, who, by the way, invoked the privilege against self-incrimination, but then you give immunity to the person on the other end of that conversation.
I got to tell you, I don't know whether you follow the program or not, Professor, but I, in the beginning, told my audience that I trusted James Comey, the FBI chief. I no longer do. I don't believe that this is an honest investigation. I believe that this is political. I believe they never wanted to find out what happened, and that is what this country is facing.
Well, what concerns me most, Bill, is that I think that people view our country as having two systems of justice. And when you hand out immunity deals like this, it reaffirms
if it is corruption, it is corruption at the highest level. Professor, thank you. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. Shocking new information about the man shot dead by Charlotte police, Keith Scott. He was convicted of shooting a man in San Antonio, served 6 years in prison. Why was that not widely reported? Then former Miss Universe really going after Trump. Does anyone care about this? We hope you stay tuned for those reports. Personal story segment tonight, truth and justice in police shootings. As you may know, an Oklahoma police officer has been charged with manslaughter in the shooting death of 40-year-old Terrence Crutcher in Tulsa. And just last night in San Diego, another black man, 38-year-old Alfred Alongo, shot and killed by police. That case is under investigation. But the most intense situation happened last week in Charlotte, North Carolina, when cops killed 43-year-old Keith Scott. Police say he had a gun and would not comply with their direct orders. That led to 2 nights of violent rioting in Charlotte. One man was killed. The nation saw this display. So did the world. Sad beyond belief. But now we learn that Mr. Scott was convicted of aggravated assault in Texas for shooting a man with a pistol. Scott served 6 years in prison for that crime. In addition, his wife filed a restraining order against Scott, saying he had stabbed her. That was back in 2004. None of that information was communicated until after the riots broke out. So the question becomes, did protesters once again jump to false conclusions? Joining us now from Washington, Jamila Bey, radio talk show host. And from Miami, Andel Brown, a defense attorney. Ms. Brown, we'll begin with you. We don't want to try anything on television. We are not, you are not, I am not, Ms. Bey is not privy to information. We all know what has been put out there, but we just do not know the totality of the case. What we do know is that riots ensued and information about Mr. Scott, the victim, was not put out there. And I said, Mr. Brown, and you heard me, stop. Wait until the facts come forth before you do anything. And I think this proves it, does it not?
We saw the video. We've all seen the video that was released by the Charlotte Police Department from September 20th, 2016. We did not see Keith Lamont Scott acting violently in that video.
But that video was released
digging up something for more than
after the
absolutely
riots.
This information from more than 10 years ago and another unsubstantiated account from 2015 doesn't tell us about what happened on September 20th, 2016.
It's not unsubstantiated.
Yeah, from 2002,
more
than 10 years ago.
He had a gun.
Is when it's
he used
from.
a gun on the guy.
What mattered on the 20th, that's what people were reacting to. What happened there? That's the question. This sheds no light on that question.
The totality of the situation was not known. What do you say, Ms.
The totality of the situation is about the 2 hours of unreleased footage that we can't see right now. The Charlotte Police Department still has.
Either you believe that every American citizen is guaranteed equal protection under the law, or you believe that police officers should be judge, jury, executioner for some individuals as opposed to others. Let's be real. North Carolina is an open carry state, so possession of a weapon when one is not acting violently toward police is absolutely no reason that a person should wind up dead.
No, but he's a convicted felon, so he didn't have a license to carry. But that's not the point. The point is, Ms. Bey,
no, that is the
that people ran into the streets, and I don't believe legitimate protesters did this, but thugs who joined them looted and burned and murdered a man.
Well, then these are criminal
and it was based upon not sufficient evidence in the totality of the case. And so I'm trying to emphasize to everybody, now we know more about Mr. Scott.
Bill,
and what we know is not
You're trying to bring in a red
flattering.
herring. It has nothing to do with the totality of what happened on September 20th, 2016.
Sure it does.
This will not be considered. In a court of law, this would be inadmissible. It wouldn't be considered.
It depends
so
how
it's a
it's
red
framed.
herring. It's a distraction.
If the man has a violent history, certainly that will get into the because there will be witnesses.
Violently in that video? No.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Go, Ms.
If
Bay.
the man had a violent history,
Yes.
let's talk about violent history. And, you know, he did his time, whatever. If we look at violent history and we say, okay, well, these people deserve to unfortunately be killed at the hands of police, we lose all of we lose a great percentage of our athletes. We lose a lot of our entertainers. We lose some of our legislators.
Nobody deserves to be
People can behave
killed.
badly. They can
Ms.
serve
Bay.
their time.
Nobody deserves to be killed unless it's a self-defense play, which the police maintain. And all I'm saying, and I think you guys should think about this.
That is in dispute.
Before,
We don't know what's going to come out at the end of that.
The whole case is in dispute. Wait until the totality of the evidence is presented, like in Ferguson. We learned many, many things after the riots, and now the same thing is unfolding in Charlotte.
No,
guys, I gotta go.
It's not the same.
It's very, very similar. Ms. Bay,
No.
Counselor, thank you. We come right back. Former Miss Universe trying to hurt Donald Trump, and the Clinton campaign using that to the hilt. Then a factor tip of the day, another outrageous statement from Colin Kaepernick. Those reports after these messages. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Impact segment tonight. Former Miss Universe Alicia Machado actively trying to hurt Donald Trump in his presidential campaign. As you may know, her name came up in the debate when Hillary Clinton accused Mr. Trump of calling her, quote, Miss Piggy and Miss Housekeeping.
We can't accept more insults for my Latin community. No more. No more insults for the women.
You said that
I
he
know
had
very
called
well,
you,
Mr. Trump.
You said that he had called you Miss
And I
Piggy.
can see the same person that I met 20 years ago.
Was now here in New York City, Ebony Williams, Monica Crowley. Be fair, Ms. Machado is a Hillary Clinton supporter, a fairly zealot one, actively campaigning against Mr. Trump. Question is, does anyone really care about this, Monica?
No, because if you think Donald Trump is a sexist, if that's already your view, then this
reinforces
little episode
that?
reinforces that. And if you don't, you don't care. Voters already have a very good handle on both of these candidates, and they're more interested in the big problems plaguing
the Trump campaign is trying to make inroads with suburban mothers and things like that. And that's why I think Hillary Clinton brought this up. So would that blunt the inroads?
It might in certain suburban areas, maybe. But again, I think the voters already have a good sense of both of these candidates, their characters, their pasts, and so on. So this is just a very minor episode of the kind that comes up in late stage campaigns no matter what.
What say you, Ebony?
I do think that, I agree with Monica, people already think what they think, but this will thwart Mr. Trump's attempts to make some very needed inroads with women voters in this country, particularly Republican women. that he needs
So
to
you
show up
feel
for.
that most women will respond to Ms. Machado? Or
I think that there are women,
yeah?
Bill, in this country that are triggered by that kind of fat shaming, the talking about Carly Fiorina's face, that type of rhetoric. While politically doesn't really seem relevant, I think culturally it could be a trigger for some
All
women.
right. Now, in case you don't know, I mean, this woman won the Miss Universe contest. Trump owns it, and she put on a bunch of weight. And you were a beauty contestant in North Carolina. Did very well in that Miss USA pageant, I understand.
Thank you for
But was there a clause that said you had to?
I was going to say, you know, it's a shame the way that Donald Trump chose to go about this, but his critique is actually valid. You are contractually bound, though. You have to sign a contract, yes, that says that you will remain looking consistent to when you were crowned throughout your reign, because you're essentially a brand ambassador for the Miss Universe and product.
So you actually had
that's
to
a part
sign a
of your
piece
job.
of paper that said that.
That says you will remain in physicality similar to the night you were crowned. And she did not do that by her own volition. But the name calling and the eating machine stuff, Bill, it was a bit much. I thought it was
But you know what? Here's how Donald Trump should have handled that rather than taking Mrs. Clinton's bait. He should have said, I see you have to go back 20 years to find an attack.
Well, he was caught by surprise. I don't even think he remembered it.
Yeah, and by the way, he should be prepared in the next two debates, because I'm sure she has other examples she's going to spring on him just like this. But he should have said, well, you got to go back 20 years to try to find
I'm
an
not
attack.
so sure she's going to do that, because you know what's going to happen.
But he can say, I can understand that, because you can't run on your record. This country has very big problems, most of which were created by you and the current president and your party. I'm interested in addressing the issues that concern the American
stronger,
people.
Monica. Unfortunately, you got to own your dirt. And when you've done as much dirt as he did with the women comments and stuff, you got to be ready for that. And he was blindsided.
He was blindsided. He was surprised because he did, you know, you could see him go, what are you talking about now?
Oh, her?
But, you know, the guy is in an awful lot of businesses, and there's a lot of contention in business, as you know. Not making an excuse.
Yeah. Can I tell you what he should have done, Bill? He should have done this. He should have put her on probation and said, you've got a period of time, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months to lose this weight. And if
but
you
then
don't,
he wouldn't have gotten the publicity.
Right, and that's not good for
that's
the brand.
That's what he wanted. He
and
took her to the gym.
You get dethroned.
Right. Okay.
That's
but now he's running for president. He's got to make every question about the American people and the future of the country, not about his own.
Ladies, thank you. Very good. Coming next, both Clinton and Trump await new polling because that will tell the tale of the debate. Then Colin Kaepernick saying another bad thing about his country. Factors coming right now. Back in the book segment tonight, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump eagerly awaiting the new post-debate polling, which should begin tomorrow. That will tell the tale of the debate, who won, who lost. Joining us now from Austin, Texas, Darren Shaw, Republican pollster here in New York City. Patrick Murray, polling director at Monmouth University. So, first of all, we got, as top of the program before we interviewed Donald Trump, we gave the Reuters tracking poll daily and the LA Times daily. You don't think much of the LA Times poll, right?
Yeah, quite frankly, this is a political scientist experiment. They're weighting their data to how people are telling us they voted in 2012. But I've done this before.
See, I don't understand that. So they have a certain amount of people they call every day?
Or they're doing it online. So what they say is, how did you vote in 2012? And then they're trying to weight it to what the vote looked like in 2012. I've done this before.
Why would they do that? It's a whole different...
Because again, this is political scientists. They think of all these great experiments to do. It doesn't work. People can't remember what they ate for dinner yesterday.
All right, so the LA Times daily tracking poll isn't call people up and find out who they're going to vote for that day. It's a model of some kind.
They keep doing they keep this model. They keep doing it online. They keep going back to them. It's a nice experiment. It's interesting, but it doesn't reflect reality.
We cite that poll, so now I'm going to take it with more skepticism. Mr. Shaw, when you saw the debate, I mean, obviously now all the polling after the debate is different. Everything before doesn't really matter anymore. All right, it's okay now we've seen them, 84 million people, and here's how we feel now. Are you picking up anything, Mr. Shaw?
Well, I think what we know from the political science research is that both the debate and more particularly the media coverage of the debate do have a small effect on voters' preferences. Not huge. You know, the largest effects we see sort of historically, about 2 to 3 points. The candidates' favorability rise, which would be fantastic for these two. And my sense from the post-debate analysis and sort of back and forth is there's an emerging consensus Hillary did much better than Trump. So, you know, you might expect a bounce of a couple of points in her favor. At the very least, she might blunt what had been a very good month for him up to this point.
Yeah, he was rolling, and that's Brett Baer says. I gave him credit last night that if it doesn't turn well for Hillary Clinton now, she's in big trouble. So Monmouth is coming out. When Fox News poll comes out Friday. Yeah. All right, that will reflect after the debate numbers. When is your guy?
We're going to have swing state polls coming out
next week
in the Midwest next week, and that'll capture, I think, what happened here. And I agree with Professor Shaw here that mostly we don't see very big movements after that first debate. 4 points. Mitt Romney,
but
4 years ago, was 4 points for him. But isn't it different this year, though, because the personalities are so big? Well, that's why. We don't know exactly because this is so different.
84 million people, right? And personalities are so intense that, and plus, nobody agrees who won the debate. Yeah. Nobody agrees. I mean, you know, Trump people say and he won, and then Hillary.
Well, that's the whole thing, is because the people who watched this debate
they have to decide.
Already knew who they were going to vote for. The vast majority of them are already locked in. That's why they say my guy won, my girl won.
But some people know. I mean, I know Trump supporters who say he didn't win, and I know Hillary. Well,
there aren't any Hillary supporters who say that.
Few, but they whisper it. They whisper it.
No, I think on any metric, Hillary Clinton did win this. But I don't expect her to get more than a 1 or 2 point bump from this because of the historical precedent. If she does more than that, then something else happened that we don't know.
1 or 2, I think that's a big win for Trump. Mr. Shaw, last word?
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that we want to pay attention to is the fact that Trump supporters really don't like media. They don't like elites telling them what to think. And so the one thing that might be different this time around is several things you guys mentioned, but the one thing I'm looking for in the polls is the extent to which Trump supporters and maybe people on the fence who like Trump a little bit dig their heels in and say, you know,
you're not going to tell me who won or who lost, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And we should have some numbers tomorrow, and we, of course, will give them to you. Gentlemen, thank you. Fact tip of the day, Colin Kaepernick bashing his country again. Wait till you hear this. The tip, moments away. In fact, your tip of the day, more anti-American stuff from Colin Kaepernick in a moment. But first, the anecdote to Mr. Kaepernick is my new book, Killing the Rising Sun. It shows how brave American fighting men were in the Pacific as they defeated the very cruel Japanese Empire. I wrote the book so that anti-American people could be confronted with the nobility of the USA, since this country has freed hundreds of millions of people all over the world. Fortunately, Killing the Rising Sun, the #1 book in America by far, so we hope you check it out. Now the mail. Joseph Brady, Savannah, Georgia. Mr. O'Reilly, your analysis of the debate left me dumbstruck. Trump won. That's all I'm going to say. Maria Brandenburg, Chehalis, Washington. Hillary was prepared, Trump was not. If he cannot prepare better for the business of state, he would make a poor president. Matt Lipinski, Austin, Texas. Bill, last night's analysis of the presidential debate was truly outstanding. Your talking points adeptly captured the runs, hits, and errors in a meaningful, understandable way. Well, I appreciate that, Matt. The memo was posted on BillO'Reilly.com if you didn't hear it, and if you want to read it again, it's there. Also on the website, we have the Contributing Factor podcast starring Robert Samuel, brand new star. Big political component today of the podcast. And finally, you can read my tweets at O'Reilly Factor, at O'Reilly Factor. Gary Spalding, Sparta, Tennessee. Bill, you were wrong about Lester Holt. You said he is a good guy and would be fair. He may be a good guy, but fair, not so much. I agree with Bernie Goldberg's analysis that Mr. Holt did not challenge Mrs. Clinton the way he did Mr. Trump. So in this case, I was wrong. But I've known Lester Holt for a long time, and he is essentially a fair man. Sandy Bolin, Henderson, Nevada. Mr. O, thank you for one of the most informative, detailed reads ever to cross this history teacher's eyes. Killing the Rising Sun should be required reading in every history class. Wish for that, Sandy. Thanks for reading the book. Alan Bultel, Santa Clarita, California. Bill, love all the killing books. Are you working on another one? Dugard and I about a quarter into